add user Bob. The first test I'm going to do is just to see if Alice can send a message to Bob on the local machine. So this won't even go out to the internet. This is just test functionality of local sending and receiving. Okay, so here's the command that we haven't seen before. So I switch user to Alice. Remember, always use the dash when you're doing the SU command. And the command to generate a message is mailx. That was installed when we installed the mailutils package. So mailx Bob. And I don't have to put anything after Bob if it's just going to be a local message. It asks me for any CC stuff, subject, I can give a subject, and then I can type my message. When I'm done with that message, I do Control D. It terminates my input, and it should try to send the message. Okay, so hopefully it's sent. So let's go see if Bob got it. Before I log in as Bob, I'm going to go look in the main log, because the main log should record everything. So if I look at the end of my main log, I see, and this is kind of weird to interpret, but basically a less than sign means that I had a message come in, and a greater than sign means that I had a message go out, or I'm sending a message out. And in fact, this came in from Alice, and I'm just sending it out to Bob, which is a local user, and she was a local user, and it kind of looks like it might have worked. Oh, that's good. Now, all of our mail messages are actually stored over here in /var/school/mail. That's where their mailbox is stored at in mbox format. And so we see that Bob has a message now. And if you ever looked at this before I sent it, there was nothing in there. So now I'm going to log in as Bob, SU-Bob. And to read my mail, I can just type mailx. And it's really difficult I think it is, in a command line environment, because it really just doesn't give me just the message. It gives me all the headers for this message, but here's my message that was sent.
It doesn't look nice.
Doesn't look nice, but I got the message. That's all we're testing for now. So just type mailx. Oh, in fact,
Are we going to be setting up like an actual computer system later on?
yes.
Cool.
Oh yeah, so I did actually, it brings you, when you type mailx, it brings you to a prompt, like a question mark, and there's a bunch of sub-commands you can do here. But one will say, read my first message. I'll see if I can log into my mail server again in a second and see if I can show you some of those sub-commands. But Q to quit. When you're done looking at the message, you type, see back here at the question mark, I can type Q. I'm done looking at my messages, I can get out. Maybe at some point you want to delete messages because my auto grader sends messages that sends a bunch of emails every time it runs. So maybe we'll have to figure out how to delete them at some point. Okay, so that was my first test. Now I'm going to log back in as Alice. I'm going to see if I can get to my Gmail account. Let's try it. I sent it locally. Now let's do a remote test. All right, so I put in my Gmail address, and all my information. I hit Control D to send it. I'm going to go check out my log file, my main log, just to see what it looks like. So XM saw that Alice had sent a message, so it came in to the mail, the MUA. It came into the mail transport agent, and the mail transport agent, the greater than sign, says it sent it out to josephfrank@gmail.com. It used a smart host, which was StuMail, which is good. That's what I want to see. So that looks okay. And then I'm going to go check my other email account. So I'm going to go over to my Gmail, and I got my message. Do you see any red flags there? See anything that looks problematic?
Spam.
Yeah, it could be in my spam. That's definitely a possibility. And so you might have to check your spam messages to see if it went through. Anything else?
Alex,
Yeah, what the heck is this? Alice at Ubuntu-2016. Is that going to work when I hit reply? No. So That's the first, can I send it back? Okay, so I went in to Gmail and I just said, let's look at the headers there. There's some button you can click on to view your email headers. And if you look at the reply to, where is it? Received from, isn't there a reply to address or something? From, maybe it's the from. Which, that's the problem. Who do I actually want it to reply to?
Is that right back?
Yeah, alice@thegumbybear.com. Okay, there's a problem. It's not gonna work. Return address is incorrect. I was very lazy, and I didn't change the host name of my machine. Look right there. Well, so first off, you see that it still says Ubuntu 2016 right there. That in and of itself is not the issue, but we're gonna go change things so that everything will work. So the first thing I'm gonna do is edit, and maybe you guys already have this done if you went through the installer and you chose a host name at this time. Maybe not. Maybe if you cloned my machine, you're gonna have to go fix it as well. So I went into Etsy hostname, and Etsy hostname is just a single line that controls pretty much what displays right here. So I went in and did that. And I say, that line, that file doesn't actually have anything to do with the email header, but it needed doing so I could actually see what machine I was on when I was logged in. The file I really need to change, and you might be wondering, hey, you just edited that file, and it didn't change your prompt. It doesn't until you reboot, or that's the best. You can do some other things, but the best thing is to reboot. So I'm gonna go edit Etsy hosts. Now, probably everyone will have to edit this file because you did not have your DNS set up at the time of installing these machines. So inside of Etsy hosts, this is what was in there. This line by default, everyone will have something that looks like that, 127.0.0.1. But I need to have a line at least that has this in it. So I need to at least have from here to there in my file. And this is the IP address of this machine and the fully qualified domain name of this machine.
This is when they actually, okay.
And then after that, I always list a couple short names here, like mail or mail-the-gummy-bear. You don't have to, but I like it. So basically, this is, oh, I didn't talk about, this is Etsy hosts, right? Okay, a long time ago. Remember before the advent of DNS as we know it, what did they use? A host file. So all the host file is a mapping of IP addresses to host names. And so it will look in here, oh, mail.thegumbybear.com is this IP address. I could put anything I want in there. In fact, on one of my machines, I don't know which one it was, I could tell it that Google's address is whatever IP I want, and the first place it'll go, before it even goes to DNS, will go to this host file. Host file always overrides anything that DNS could ever send, because to do a DNS lookup, we'll always check this host file first.
That sounds like that could be a security vulnerability if a virus gets into your system and modifies the host file.
Sure.
It could send you to like the fake version of Facebook they have set up.
Yep.
So then
You
it's
just-
your password username.
Yep.
So couldn't you just edit the host file and then just put whatever websites you want to
Uh-huh.
have it mainly so that no matter what, whenever you search that website, it never will go to a bad.
Yep. But if someone can edit your host file, they probably have sudo permissions, and so your machine's probably hosted.
Yeah, you're in trouble anyway.
Right. Okay, so I did a reboot. I said we need to do a reboot, so I did a reboot, and then I logged back in, and now you can see that my prompt changed because I edited Etsy host name. Now I'm going to hope that everything works, and I do my test again to send to my Gmail address. Oh, by the way, when you're doing your testing, don't send it to my Gmail address, because you're not going to know if you got it. And if I respond to you, how do you know you got it anyways? Because you're probably not checking your email on this Check your own Gmail address.
That sounds like from experience.
So now, look at my return address. That looks a little better. Alice@mail.thegummybear.com.
If you hit reply, would it actually send to that though? Would it work?